Hello, my name is Andrew Wain. I am the head gardener at euridgemanor and I am the 2020 Creative Stripes winner. Finally! So euridgemanor is a private house set in the middle of a 500-acre organic farm, and as of the last 5 years we have been a wedding and events venue. So I heard about the Allett Creative Stripes competition about 4 years ago on social media, and I've been entering ever since with various degrees of success in terms of positions, so second place, third place, and finally in the 4th year it was my year. I won. Did I mention I won? So when I started the pattern originally, it was going to be a flower. But then when I put the drone up for the first time to look at the pattern, I could see what to me looked like a butterfly. So I started with the butterfly, adding in more details like with the eyes on the wings and the funky pattern on the butterfly's baton. And then with everything that's been going on this year with COVID and, family matters, people with cancer, I decided that this year was the year to say thank you to everybody at the NHS for all the amazing work they've been doing. So the idea is that the butterfly is carrying the thank you message to the NHS on its wings. So to create the pattern, I used my usual tape measure and sticks to mark out the pattern, and the pattern stems from the width of the mower. Once you know the width of your mower, then you can measure out from there, so you know the number of stripes you're going to get to make the pattern fit the lawn. I don't want to give too many secrets away. And it takes about a month to get the stripes to really pop, because it takes that much time to train the grass. It takes a long time to get the feed regime up as well. And then this year, copying previous entrants, I decided to do different heights of cut just to give the pattern a little bit more depth. And to do that, I used a little Stihl HSA 26 hand trimmer, which is quite a narrow cutter, so you can really get some real detail in the pattern, and it's also really good for lettering as well. But you don't have to do that. You can also use a little hand brush to create finer detail. So this year with COVID meant that we didn't have as many weddings as we normally do, which allowed me more time to be creative with the pattern. There was less foot traffic on the lawn, which helped me. So, and also with less weddings, that allowed me to be brave and use the 2 heights of cut. As you all know, we had some really dry weather as well. So, there's a lot of pressure to keep the lawn well watered, which takes up a lot of time. One thing that does get mentioned quite a lot when you're doing your photo for the competition, it's really important to get the light behind your stripes so that they really pop. And because I wasn't thinking properly when I laid out my pattern, I left myself with about a half an hour window each day to get the photo, because the light was coming from behind the ruin, which was casting shadows. Had I thought about it properly, I would have positioned the pattern this way, so I would have had all day to take my picture. So if you're going to enter next year's competition, just think about where the light's going to be throughout the day to give yourself the maximum opportunity to get your photo, because it is really important to get a good picture. So one of the highlights to the prize is the fact that it is battery powered, and anybody who knows me will know that I am a massive fan of battery technology. Being a private house and a wedding venue, we need to be very conscious of the noise that we're making, don't want to be disturbing the owner or guests, and battery kit is fantastic. You've got less noise, less vibration, you're not messing around with petrol and fumes. It's just an absolute pleasure to use. So battery technology is an absolute win for me. Well, what happened is the company that was running the competition drug it out so long, made me wait all weekend and left me pacing up and down all Monday, driving myself nuts. But then I knew when the phone rang, I knew who it was. And I was like, finally, 4 years, I've won. So I was very excited when I got that phone call, yes. But you guys were very cruel dragging it out. I mean, it's not good for my blood pressure. And I was drinking way too much that weekend. So, you know, I should be able to claim some of that back as expenses, to be fair. But it was very, very stressful. Wasn't it not stressful? I was tempted to drive all the way to Edgbaston and ask the guy himself. It's too much stress. So my advice to anybody who's thinking about entering the competition is, firstly, and I've mentioned this before earlier, is think about where the sun's going to be when you are planning on taking your picture, because getting those stripes to pop in the picture is really important. So that is, of all the advice I can give, is think about the photo. The next thing is, and I'm stood on what is quite a large area of lawn, is don't be put off by the size of your lawn. That's what she said. You might have to edit that bit out. So it's like behind me there, we've got the head of the butterfly, or if you just take the eye itself or just the butterfly's baton, you do not need a big space to be creative. If anything, actually, a smaller lawn is easier because it's less stress. You know, the time that I spend on this area, if you're on a small lawn and you focus your time on there, you can be so creative with a small space. And you really don't need, and this is very important, you really don't need expensive kit to do it. You can create stripes with push mowers that have got a roller on, or you can use your fly-mow lawnmower and then go behind with a brush afterwards to create the stripes. It really isn't about expensive kit. It is all about the creativity. Just have some fun with it. And my advice as well would be, base a pattern on something that you can relate to. Like in previous years, I've used features around the property here, like windows, as inspiration for the shape. It's not necessarily about going online and finding a pattern and trying to recreate it. Do something that's personal to you, and that will shine through in your design. I'm really excited to be the judge next year, because having seen some of the entries that have been coming in over the last 4 years that I've done it, there has been some amazing work. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes in. And it's all, honestly, it's all about the creativity. So my advice would just be to have some fun with it. And I look forward to seeing everybody's designs. I'll be subtle, it's fine. Did I mention I won? Get in!